Could our food supply be more toxic without the population reacting en masse and demanding change? For example, anyone watching this, if we tested you for glyphosate, you have glyphosate in you. We're long past the point where you can avoid chronic illness without supplementing with essential nutrients.
Healing secrets, the secrets of herbal healing with Brett Elliott.
Something pretty amazing is going on in Canada right now with the third largest petition in the country's history, and it's to do with protecting the rights of access for the public to natural health products. And this broadcast also talks about chronic toxicity and toxic overload, the food chain, and how it's causing the most common chronic diseases and how we need to acknowledge it. And I'm really surprised this is not being talked about all over the world. There's been skeptics over the years around detoxing, but by now people should realize that it's toxicity that's causing most of our diseases. And so I'm going to share some really interesting facts and information about this as we go through the broadcast. So let's get into it.
Good afternoon. My name is Shawn Buckley with the Natural Health Product Protection Association. And we're here to announce that tomorrow history is being made. The citizens of Canada have banded together and created the third largest paper petition in the history of our nation. And those paper petitions are going to be delivered to MP Blaine Culkin's on the Hill tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. And then we're also having another event at Bikers Church at 6:30 p.m. And I want to share with you how this came about. And we're in a very interesting country, and I think we're in the middle of a cultural shift where before we trusted our government institutions on almost everything. We've been marching across the land holding live events. We started in Victoria on October 4th for our first live event, and we've been driving across the nation since then, and now we're in Ottawa for this historic event. But as we've been driving across the land and having people share, one thing has become absolutely clear, and that is that people are no longer willing to trust government. I asked the live audiences, like even 20 years ago when you went to the supermarket, were you really concerned about our food supply? And almost everyone agrees, no, back then they weren't concerned. But our government has had control of our food supply, Health Canada, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, for quite some time. And if we were to ask the question, and it almost has to be a rhetorical question, and that is could our food supply be more toxic without the population reacting en masse and demanding change? It's almost like we're just at that line where if we crossed it anymore, if our food became any more toxic, it would be absolutely intolerable. For example, anyone watching this, if we tested you for glyphosate, you have glyphosate in you.
So just mentioning this, glyphosate in New Zealand, what's being proposed by the New Zealand Food Safety Authority under NPI is to raise the legal limits of glyphosate in foods. Wheat, oats, barley increase from 0.1 to 10, which is 100 times. And for dried field peas, the increase is from 0.1 to 6, which is 60 times an increase. So 100 times and 60 times. And NPI is saying that it's good agricultural practices, including using glyphosate.
So we find ourselves where we all have a toxic load. And one of the leading causes of chronic illness is toxic overload. We've been having an online health show being broadcast all day for the last 20 days, and several speakers, famous actor Nick Mancuso, for example, or Udo Erasmus, who really is the godfather of essential oils and healthy fats. So these two well-known people share their stories on how they were basically crippled and on death's door because of toxic overload. And there's other speakers on that. This is a significant issue facing all of Canadians, and it's an absolute failure. And Canadians are beginning to understand that they can't trust anymore, that they have to take personal responsibility for what's happening, which is why we're delivering on behalf of the citizens of Canada the third largest paper petition in our history.
Okay, so here's a list of common toxins and their related chronic diseases. Fructose, fatty liver disease, insulin resistance and obesity, alcohol, liver cirrhosis, neuropathy, trans fats and heart disease, obesity, refined sugar, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome.
Another problem with our food supply is, as surprising as it may be to our regulatory bodies, humans need certain nutrients to be healthy. And if we don't get those nutrients, we're unhealthy. The U.S. Department of Agriculture regularly surveys the food supply for essential vitamins and minerals. And since 1900, they have been steadily decreasing. And we have long passed the point where Canadians, even eating well, trying to eat fresh foods and eat organic, we're long past the point where you can avoid chronic illness without supplementing with essential nutrients. That's what the bulk of the natural health product community is. When we talk natural health products, the lion's share are just essential nutrients that we are no longer getting in our food supply. The reason why they've become so popular, with over 70% of Canadians using them regularly, is we just intuitively know that we need to supplement because we're not getting what we need in our food supply. It is no secret that if you're malnourished, that you become chronically sick. And there is condition after condition after condition where we can identify clearly the nutrients where if we're deficient in, we become ill. Again, another rhetorical question. I mean, is it that most of our chronic illnesses are caused by malnutrition? And yet our universal health care, which has adopted an allopathic model, our doctors are not trained to identify nutritional deficiencies. They're not trained to address them.
Okay, so here's just a quick list of a few of the vitamin deficiencies and the diseases. We know vitamin D, osteoporosis, B12, anemia, folate, birth defects, vitamin C, immune deficiency, vitamin A, vision and skin disorders, vitamin K, osteoporosis, magnesium and heart disease and muscle cramps, zinc and skin disorders, iron, anemia, chronic fatigue, selenium and thyroid dysfunction, calcium and osteoporosis, muscle weakness, chromium and blood sugar imbalances, potassium, high blood pressure, iodine, goiter and hypothyroidism, and omega-3, depression and cardiac disease. The list goes on.
We've been broadcasting for 20 days. The past days are on the NHPPA.org site for everyone to see. There is person after person after person, condition after condition after condition, where people were literally dying or absolutely disabled, suffering terribly in the mainstream medical system, and they didn't know that they could find hope, and they found hope. Now, they didn't know because we have 100% censorship of truthful information in Canada. You can only sell even vital nutrients with Health Canada's permission. So we live in a country where even to get the vital nutrients that we need to be healthy, to thrive, you have to get Health Canada's permission. Well, once you get a drug approved, our vital nutrients are considered to be drugs. So once you get a drug approved, be that a chemical drug for antidepressant, for example, all you're allowed to say it's an antidepressant. You're not allowed to share any other health information. So here we have the natural health community where person after person after person is finding freedom from death sentences, from extreme suffering. But the practitioners who know their stories can't share them with you, or Health Canada will go after them. The manufacturers that know about these stories can't share them with you, or Health Canada will go after them. So we're sharing them for the very first time. And Canadians are feeling empowered for the first time in a long time. Now let's talk about the Charter of Health Freedom. That's what this petition is about. And again, the Charter of Health Freedom is about Canadians taking responsibility for themselves again. Because the reality is we are getting tired of having to ask the government for permission to be healthy. We are tired to be asking the government for permission to take enough vitamin D for us to have healthy immune systems. We are tired of basically allowing you to have responsibility over our own lives. So what the Charter of Health Freedom does is it takes those basic health rights that our common law courts, our court system, has said that we have, and it has set them out in writing. And it states we have these rights, and at common law, there's no justification clause like Section 1 in the Charter. These are base health rights that government laws cannot transgress and that government actions can't transgress. These are our basic health rights that our courts have said that we have. This is part of our legal tradition as Canadians, as citizens of Canada. We set them out clearly, and we state what the common law says, is that government laws must adhere to these basic rights, and that government actions must adhere to these basic rights. We're also, again, tired of fighting to get access to vital nutrients. So the Charter moves the regulation of these products from Health Canada, creates a new Ministry of Wellness with the legal duty to protect and promote our access to vital nutrients and natural remedies. You know, we've been using ginger tea for 3,000 years to treat nausea. We shouldn't need Health Canada permission to continue in 2025.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. So in New Zealand, we have the Therapeutic Health Code regulations around what we can say. They control this. So MedSafe regulations cover natural health products at the moment. We're not permitted on labels or in advertising to make any claims about any therapeutic benefits from natural health products in New Zealand. So we need to do something similar here to really make this happen in New Zealand.
This is a significant citizen action taking responsibility for themselves. This is the citizens saying we want control over our lives again. We want recognition of our basic health rights that are our inheritance as part of Canadians. And we want to take responsibility back for our own health, for the health and well-being of our own families. That's what this is about. It's a grassroots initiative, and it starts with passing the Charter of Health Freedom. So I'm very excited that with me is MP Blaine Calkins, who has demonstrated over the years a strong commitment to Canadians being able to have access to natural remedies and to be able to take personal responsibility for their own lives. MP Blaine Calkins, thank you.
Thank you, Shawn. Well, thank you, everyone. It's certainly a pleasure to be here today and to speak about the efforts that many across the country have undertaken in order to restore the traditional definition of natural health products. Some of you may know the government passed a Budget Implementation Act, Bill C-47, a number of years back, which basically changed the definition of natural health products to that of therapeutic products, which means that all of the fines, all of the approval structures, and all of the cost recovery mechanisms that large pharmaceutical companies have to go through now apply to the natural health product industry, and this is simply untenable. What this will do is it will reduce opportunities, create red tape and bureaucracy, increase costs and expenses, and reduce innovation and development of natural health products, and thereby driving up costs and reducing choice for Canadian consumers in how to take care of their own personal health needs as they see fit. So in the last Parliament, I tabled Bill C-368, which passed at second reading and actually passed the committee stage, but wasn't able to advance further in the House of Commons before the 45th general election. In this particular Parliament, I was lucky enough to return after the election, and I've committed to tabling basically the same bill over again. That bill now is number 224. And the first hour of debate on that will be November 17th of this year. I was lucky to be drawn high in the order of precedence, and should this Parliament last for any significant length of time, we should be able to get that bill passed through the House and through the Senate, but it will require the same support from various political parties that it required in the last Parliament. hopefully the government will take heed of the size of this petition and take heed of the outcry that they've heard from Canadians during the last Parliament and assist in the passage of Bill C-224, swift passage of Bill C-224, and making sure that the law is changed, restoring the traditional definition of natural health products to be regulated as an entity upon themselves, which is where at least they should be for the time being. And I'm happy to do that. And I thank Shawn and others from across the country who have been instrumental in helping me understand the industry even better, understand the effects that it has on everyday Canadians, including my own family. And an astronomical number of Canadians rely on natural health products every day in their life, well over 70%, some say as many as 80%. That's 30 million Canadians using natural health products.
Yeah, so we've got the same thing here in New Zealand. We've got 75% of the population that use natural health products. And the New Zealand government has tried a couple of times to do what they've done in Canada, which is try to get the natural health supplements included in the under regulations along with pharmaceuticals. They tried in 2003 with a Trans-Tasman TGA arrangement, and they've tried again in 2023 with the Therapeutic Products Bill. But there's been so much outrage in New Zealand when they've tried this that it's been pushed back the first time, and the second time the national government realised this was the way to get votes. So they said they would do away with the Therapeutic Products Bill, which they have, which is fantastic. So we are allowed to sell products in New Zealand without going through this lengthy, expensive process of registering every single natural health product. But we're still not allowed to tell the public what those products do. We're not allowed to advertise. We're not allowed to make claims or share testimonials or do anything that really informs the public what their options are with natural health products. And this does need to change. So hopefully something happens in the future. But I thought I'd just bring this to light again today, make us more aware of it. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.
Herbs.